The offseason is almost here as the legal tampering period does start on March 10th, and because of that, I wanted to come on here and give my first 2025 NFL mock draft before free agency does start. So yeah, guys, before we do get started, of course, make sure you guys hit the like button if you guys end up enjoying the video, since it really does help out the channel. And along with that, if you guys are new, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any new videos like the one you're watching right now. And two important notes for this mock draft. One, there will be no trades in this video. And then second off, the way I'm going to be making these picks is going to be based off, what I would do if I was that team's GM. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get things started. So with the first pick, I got the Tennessee Titans taking Cam Ward, a quarterback out of Miami, Florida. Now, the Titans GM did say that they won't pass up on a quote-unquote generational player, and this could be true or it could just be smoke. And I do understand taking somebody like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter here, but it does look like the Will Levis era in Tennessee is over, and because of that, the Titans do need a long-term answer at QB. Yes, this quarterback class is weak, but Cam Ward is the best quarterback, in this draft. He has really good physical tools, and he has pretty solid accuracy as well. The main issues with him is that he just plays too much hero ball, and he is a very slow processor. But in my opinion, if he can clean those things up, then he definitely can be the Titans' franchise quarterback. Now with the second pick, I got the Cleveland Browns taking Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback out of Colorado. In a lot of mock drafts, I see a lot of people say, having the Browns take Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter here, which is understandable. But like the Tennessee Titans, the Browns need a long-term answer at quarterback because Deshaun Watson, he is not the guy. Now, I do have an early to mid second round grade on Shedeur Sanders, but because he is a quarterback, he is going to go much higher. And Shedeur Sanders, even in a weak, especially in a weak quarterback class, I think he, again, he's going to go a lot higher than expected. And he does have a lot to like about him. Like, he is pretty accurate and smart, and he does have, fine physical tools. Like, his arm strength, I'll admit, it is not amazing, but I do think it is fine. I think he has decent mobility. But with that said, he does have some issues, like, his pocket presence isn't very good. He's not amazing throwing with anticipation sometimes. And like I said before, his arm strength, it's just fine. It's really not amazing. I don't think Shedeur Sanders has, like, a crazy high ceiling, but I do think he can be a decent quarterback. I do think he can, he could definitely be the Browns' long-term answer at QB. Now with the third pick, I got the New York Giants taking Travis Hunter, a wide receiver / corner out of Colorado. Now the Giants really do need an answer at quarterback, but I don't think there's any quarterback here, who's worth taking at number 3. So I'm just going to go with the best player available. In my opinion, Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft. I mean, he is elite at cornerback and wide receiver, and there's a big debate about where he'll play and if he should play both sides of the ball in the NFL. And me personally, I think he is a better corner than he is wide receiver, and I think that'll be his primary position, corner. But with all of that said, I think he will play a decent amount of wide receiver in the NFL as well. And the Giants, hey, I mean, to be fair, they kind of need a cornerback, and I guess they could use another wide receiver next to Malik Neighbors as well. So I guess this pick, really does work out for the New York Giants. I mean, Travis Hunter, he's just an amazing player to say the least. Now with the fourth pick, I got the New England Patriots taking Tataroya McMillan, a wide receiver out of Arizona. The Patriots do have a lot of holes, unfortunately, and I am a Patriots fan, and we could address the offensive line or take somebody like Abdul Carter here, and both of those are understandable, but we do need a wide receiver 1 badly, and I don't know if T. Higgins or Chris Godwin will make it to the open market. And in my opinion, I think we can definitely address the offensive line and the defensive line in free agency quite easily. So, taking Tataroya McMillan here is not a bad pick at all. I mean, in my opinion, I think he's the best wide receiver, in the draft. I mean, he's really big. He moves very well for his size. He has really good hands. He's a good yak threat, and he's a solid route runner. Now, his speed, it's not insane, and sometimes I think his route running's a little bit lazy, but I do like him a lot, man. And if my Patriots can address the trenches in free agency and we land him, in the draft, then I'd be very happy. Now with the fifth pick, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Will Johnson, a cornerback from Michigan. The Jaguars' defense last year was absolutely putrid, and they need a lot of help at corner. Now, Will Johnson, in my opinion, is the second best cornerback in this draft, but I think in most drafts he'd probably be the best corner, in that class, because Will Johnson is absolutely amazing. I mean, he has everything you want from a corner. Like, he's big, he's fast, he's lengthy, he's really smart, he's a pretty solid tackler, and he can play both. He's very good in man and zone coverage, and Will Johnson would just be a very good addition to this Jaguars defense, and he could really help it improve it. Now, with the 6th pick, I got the Las Vegas Raiders taking Abdul Carter, an edge rusher from Penn State. The Raiders could go in a few directions here, and yes, they did draft Tyree Wilson like just 2 years ago. And Tyree Wilson, after a not-so-great rookie year, he did improve. And to be fair, Tyree Wilson was a project. But either way, Abdul Carter, he might just be the best player available. And it's really hard to pass up on him. And of course, there's a lot to like about Abdul Carter. There's a reason why he's so highly regarded. I mean, he's very athletic. He's really lengthy. He's big. He has really good bend. And he has very solid pass rush moves and is just a very good pass rusher. Now, he's not great at stopping the run, but ironically, Tyree Wilson is actually really good at stopping the run, and so are the guys, so are some other guys on the Raiders like Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins. And, a defensive line with Abdul Carter, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, and, Tyree Wilson as well, that's scary as hell. Now, with the 7th pick, I got the New York Jets taking Mason Graham, a defensive tackle from Michigan. The Jets could consider taking someone like Tyler Warren or like a wide receiver here, but their defensive tackles outside of Quinnen Williams are not very good. And Mason Graham, I think he could really help this defense bounce back. Like, he is awesome at stopping the run. I think he's a solid pass rusher as well, and he's really agile. Mason Graham, I just really like him as a prospect, and I think he has a very high floor. Now, he isn't exactly like the lengthiest, and he is more of a disruptor than a finisher when it comes to rushing the passer. But like I said before, I'm extremely confident he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. And I guess if he can, find a way to become a little bit more of a finisher when rushing the passer, this man might be maybe the best defensive tackle in the NFL. I am not kidding when I say that. Now, with the 8th pick, I got the Carolina Panthers taking Nick Scourton, an edge rusher from Texas A&M. The Panthers' defense last year was historically bad, and they need help all over it. It didn't help that Derek Brown was out for virtually the whole season, but they need some serious reinforcements. Nick Scourton, in my opinion, is the second best edge rusher in the draft. He's big, he's quite versatile, he can stop the run, he's a solid pass rusher, and he's really smart. Now, his burst isn't that great, but with that said, I think Nick Scourton would be a very good addition to this Panthers defense, and he could really help them improve. Now, with the 9th pick, I got the New Orleans Saints taking Mike Green, an edge rusher from Marshall. The Saints really do need some help at edge rusher. Carl Granderson is really good, and I think he's very underrated by a lot of fans. But Cam Jordan, he's close to retiring, and truthfully, he's pretty washed. But Mike Green, while he's not very good at stopping the run, he is extremely explosive, and he is a tremendous pass rusher, and I think he could be a very good addition to the Saints team. Now, he did go to a smaller school in the Sun Belt. It's not exactly great competition, but regardless, Mike Green, I think, is still the 3rd best edge rusher in this year's draft class, and is just a really good prospect in my opinion. With the 10th pick, I got the Chicago Bears taking James Pierce, an edge rusher from Tennessee. The Bears definitely could address their offensive line here, but in my opinion, I think their interior is really what needs work rather than their tackles, and there's no interior O-lineman, worth taking here in my opinion. The Bears, they also do need some help on the defensive line, especially at edge rushers. They got Montez Sweat, but they need another edge rusher to complement him, and James Pierce, in my opinion, is the best edge rusher available, and like Mike Green, he is not very good at stopping the run, but he's very athletic, and he is an awesome pass rusher. With the 11th pick, I got the San Francisco 49ers taking Will Campbell, a tackle out of LSU. The 49ers really need some help on the offensive line because they got Trent Williams and Dominic Puny, who are both very good, but everyone else is not that good. And Will Campbell, if you ask me, is the best tackle in the draft. And truthfully, when I was doing this mock draft, I was kind of surprised he made it. He made it all the way to pick 11. And in real life, I don't think he will make it all the way to pick 11. But hey, in this mock draft, he's here, and if I'm San Francisco and he's here, it would be very hard to pass up on him. Taking Will Campbell at number 11 would be a grand slam. With the 12th pick, I got the Dallas Cowboys taking Ashton Jeanty, a running back out of Boise State. This pick is like a match made in heaven, and it's a very common pick I feel like you see in mock drafts, and for good reason. I mean, the Cowboys, they need some serious help at running back, especially because their starting running back, Rico Dowdle, is a free agent this offseason. And yeah, there's a lot of gripes usually with taking a running back in the first round, but Ashton Jeanty is one of the best running back prospects in recent memory, and he would be a very big addition to this team. And it should be noted that he did live in Dallas for part of his childhood, and he did go to high school there, and he did say once on like an online stream that he would be down to play for the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, Ashton Jeanty, he would be a very good fit and a very good addition for this Cowboys team. With the 13th pick, I got the Miami Dolphins taking Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia. Now, offensive line here is also in play, but I think the Dolphins kind of need interior O-line help more than they need tackle help, and they could move Austin Jackson to guard. That is very possible, but this offensive line class is also very deep, so they could grab an O-lineman in the second round. Malachi Starks is like one of the best players in this draft. In my opinion, he's clearly the best safety, in this year's draft class. I mean, he's very versatile. He can play man and zone coverage. He's smart. He's athletic. He's really good at stopping the run, and I think he has really good ball skills as well. And the main reason why I'm making this pick is because, one, the Dolphins do need some help at safety, especially when you consider the fact that Jevon Holland is a free agent, and if they do lose him, then Malachi Starks would be a really good replacement. And hey, if the Dolphins find a way to, retain Jevon Holland, a safety duo of Malachi Starks and Jevon Holland, oh my god, that would be amazing. But I will say, if they do find a way to keep Jevon Holland, they probably wouldn't take Malachi Starks here. But anyways, I got Malachi Starks going to the Dolphins, and like I said before, I think he would be a really good addition to this team. Now with the 14th pick, I got the Indianapolis Colts taking Tyler Warren, a tight end out of Penn State. The Colts tight ends are really mid, and it was rumored that in last year's draft they were interested in Brock Bowers. And Tyler Warren, in my opinion, he could be the answer to, I guess, their problems of having of mediocre tight ends. I mean, Tyler Warren, I think he's the best tight end in this draft. He is insanely versatile and can play, all over the field. He's a really good yak threat. He has really good hands. He's really big. He's a solid blocker, and he's a solid route runner as well. Now, I will say his blocking and route running can sometimes be a little bit sloppy, but regardless, I think Tyler Warren would be, a very nice addition for this Colts team. With the 15th overall pick, I got the Atlanta Falcons taking Mykel Williams, an edge rusher from Georgia. The Falcons' pass rush this year was dog shit yet again, and the Matthew Judon trade, unfortunately, didn't really work out for them. So yeah, I mean, they're probably going to go defensive line here. Mykel Williams, in my opinion, is pretty raw, but he has amazing physical tools as he's really big, lengthy, and he's athletic. And along with that, he is very good at stopping the run. He really just needs to develop as a pass rusher, and if he can do that, he could be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. With the 16th overall pick, I got the Arizona Cardinals taking Kenneth Grant, a defensive tackle from Michigan. The Cardinals do need some help on their D-line, and they especially need like a big run-stopping nose tackle, and that is exactly what Kenneth Grant is. He is a behemoth of a man, and he's really athletic for his size. He's really good at stopping the run, and as a pass rusher, he is a very good disruptor. Now, he does have some conditioning issues, and like I said before, he's more of a disruptor than he is, finisher as a pass rusher, but he could go a long way in boosting this Cardinals defense, and I do think he is only the third best defensive tackle in the draft, but I do think he is a better fit for Arizona's needs, so that's why I got him going at 16 to the Cardinals. With the 17th overall pick, I got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Walter Nolan, a defensive tackle from Ole Miss. Funny enough, this is the guy who I thought was the second best defensive tackle in this year's draft, but the Bengals' defense last year was horrendous to say the least, and the Bengals need help all over their D-line because Trey Hendrickson is good, but everyone else, not so much. Walter Nolan is the second, like I said before, I think he's the second best defensive tackle in this draft because he's athletic and he is a really good pass rusher. Now, he is a little bit undersized for a DT, and he's not that good at stopping the run. But with all that said, I think Walter Nolan, like the pass rushing juice he could provide, could really boost this defense. Now with the 18th overall pick, I got the Seattle Seahawks taking Calvin Banks, a tackle from Texas. The Seahawks O-line, I mean, it needs some serious work. I mean, their interior, it is horrendous, and truthfully, they need more work on the interior than they do tackle. But with that said, Abraham Lucas, he can't really stay healthy, so I think Kelvin Banks would be a pretty good pick. I mean, Kelvin Banks, in my opinion, is the second best tackle in this draft because he's athletic, he has pretty good technique. But with that said, he does have some balance issues, and he can, have some issues with speed rushers. But with that said, Kelvin Banks is really good, and some people honestly think he should play guard in the NFL. And I mean, hey, like I said before, the Seahawks do need some help on the interior of their O-line. So if you were to move Kelvin Banks at guard and he balled out, then hey, that would really work out for you. With the 19th pick, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Jalon Walker, a linebacker from Georgia. The Buccaneers really need some help on the front seven, especially at linebacker, given how old Levante David is, and their other linebackers aren't that good. Now, there's a big debate on if Jalon Walker is an off-ball linebacker or an edge rusher, but in my opinion, I think he's much better at linebacker He's really athletic, and truthfully, he can play edge rusher on some snaps. I think he can rotate from linebacker to edge rusher. And, he's really athletic, he can stop the run and blitz very well, and he's not too bad in coverage either, so he can drop back in coverage sometimes. But, yeah, Jalon Walker, I think he'd be a very good pick. With the 20th pick, I got the Denver Broncos taking Luther Burden III, a wide receiver from Missouri. The Broncos they really do need another receiving option next to Courtland Sutton. And Luther Burden, he's one of the best wide receivers in this draft. I know he had a decent statistical drop-off in this past year's CFB season, but make no mistake about it, Luther Burden is still, again, one of the best wide receivers, in this draft. He's a really good route runner. He can play in the slot or on the outside. He's fast. He has really good size, for somebody his height. Like, he's 5'11", but he's 208 pounds. He has good hands, and he's a really good yak threat, and Luther Burden could really help Bo Nix develop as a player. With the 21st pick, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Matthew Golden, a wide receiver from Texas. The Steelers really need another receiving option next to George Pickens, and me personally, I love Matthew Golden. He is one of my favorite players in this draft. I mean, he's fast, he's a really good route runner, he's really good at separating, and he has really good hands. The real only issue with Matthew Golden is that, one, he does lack some physicality, and while he's not exactly like super small for an NFL receiver, he's not exactly overly big either. And along with that, Matthew Golden does have some drops, but either way, I think Matthew Golden's going to be really good in the NFL and should give the Steelers another consistent receiving option. With the 22nd pick, I got the Los Angeles Chargers taking Colston Loveland, a tight end from Michigan. The Chargers really do need another consistent receiving option next to Ladd McConkey, and their tight ends are just not that good. And Colston Loveland, I think he's easily the second best tight end in this draft. He's a really solid blocker, pretty decent route runner as well, and he's a very good athlete, and he can be aligned as an inline tight end or even out wide. And along with that, he does have that Michigan connection, with Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, Colston Loveland to the Chargers, I think that would be a very good fit. And I mean, it is a very popular pick in mock drafts, and for very good reason. With the 23rd pick, I got the Green Bay Packers taking Benjamin Morrison, a cornerback from Notre Dame. The Packers really need some help at corner, especially since it looks like Jair Alexander will be released. Benjamin Morrison did deal with an injury in the 2024 CFB season, but there is a lot to like about him because he is good in man and zone coverage. He has really good ball skills, and he's a very smart player as well. Now, with the 24th pick, I got the Minnesota Vikings taking Tyler Booker, an interior O-lineman from Alabama. The Vikings really need some interior O-line help, and Tyler Booker is like the best interior O-lineman in this draft. He has a really good size and strength, he's a great run blocker, and I think he has pretty good technique as well. Now, he's not exactly the quickest, and he does have some balance issues, but if he does pan out, then this Vikings O-line should become even better, because Minnesota's O-line, it's not exactly bad. They got really good tackles, but the interior could definitely use some work. With the 25th pick, I got the Houston Texans taking Josh Simmons, a tackle from Ohio State. The Texans' O-line, as we all know, was absolutely putrid last season, and they really need some serious reinforcements. And Josh Simmons, yes, he did deal with some injuries in this past year's CFB season, but Josh Simmons is one of the best O-linemen in this draft. I mean, he has really good physical tools because he's athletic, and he also has really good size, and he's lengthy as well. And I think Josh Simmons has pretty solid technique as well, and he has the versatility to also play tackle, but also the interior as well. Now, his hand placement is sometimes off, and I do think Josh Simmons can be a little bit over-aggressive. But if Josh Simmons does work out, then he should improve this offensive line a lot. With the 26th pick, I got the Los Angeles Rams taking Shavon Revel, a cornerback from East Carolina. The Rams' cornerback room really does need some work, and Shavon Revel, he did suffer torn ACL in this past year's CFB season. In fact, very early into the season. And I understand he went to a smaller school, and like the American Conference, it's not exactly like the best competition. But with that said, while Shavon Revel does have some technical things to clean up, he has amazing athletic tools. He has really good ball skills. I think his technique for the most part is very good. He can play in man and zone coverage. And Shavon Revel, if he does pan out, then he can help this secondary improve a lot. With the 27th pick, I got the Baltimore Ravens taking Josh Conerly, a tackle from Oregon. Ronnie Stanley, he is a free agent this offseason, and the Ravens' offensive line, I mean, even if they do retain Ronnie Stanley, I feel like it could probably use some work, especially because Patrick McCarty, one of their other starting O-linemen, he's also a free agent. But Josh Conerly, he's solid in, as a run blocker and pass blocker. I think his physical tools are really good, and his technique, it's pretty good for the most part, but he does have some issues when it comes to his technique because he can get fooled by hesitations and stutters, and I do think his play strength is not very good. But Josh Conerly, I think he's one of the best tackles in this draft. With the 28th overall pick, I got the Detroit Lions taking Shamar Stewart, an edge rusher from Texas A&M. The Lions defense, the Lions do need some help at edge rusher, and Shamar Stewart's production, it was not good whatsoever, and he is a bit of a project, that is undeniable, but Shamar Stewart, he has a lot of potential. He's really athletic, he has great physical tools, I think he has good pass rush moves. He really just needs to develop like a pass rush plan, and I think his run stopping, it's not too bad either, so it definitely might take like a year or two for him to develop, but Shamar Stewart, he could turn into a very good defensive lineman, in the NFL, and he is also very versatile as well. With the 29th overall pick, I got the Washington Commanders taking Emeka Egbuka, a wide receiver from Ohio State. The Commanders do need some help in the secondary, but in my opinion, there's no cornerback worth taking here, and they need a secondary receiving option next to Terry McLaurin as well. Emeka Egbuka, in my opinion, he's a very high floor player who I think he's going to be a good wide receiver too at the bare minimum. He's a good route runner, he's a good yak threat, and he has pretty good hands. Now his speed, although it's not terrible, isn't exactly crazy good, and he might just be a slot wide receiver. But with all that said, I think Emeka Egbuka should give the Commanders a secondary receiving option. Now with the 30th overall pick, I got the Buffalo Bills taking Nick Emanwori, a safety from South Carolina. The Bills could definitely go D-line here, but this defensive line class is insanely deep, and they really need a safety. Nick Emanwori, I think he has really good physical tools, he's smart, he has good ball skills, he's good in coverage, and he's very versatile. There's a lot to like about him. The main issue with him is that his hips are really tight, and he can be slow to react. And along with that, while he's not a bad tackler, I do think he does take some bad angles when tackling sometimes. But Nick Emanwori, I think he's clearly the second best safety in this draft, and he definitely could help this safety room become a lot better. And with the second last pick of this mock draft, the 31st pick, I got the Kansas City Chiefs taking Armand Membou, a tackle from Missouri. The Chiefs, they do need some help at tackle. That was very evident, especially if you watched the Super Bowl this past year. And Armand Membou, he's one of the best tackles in this draft. He has really good size. I think his versatility is not too bad either. He's athletic. He's lengthy, and his hand placement, it's not too bad. Now, with that said, I think his hand placement can be pretty inconsistent, and sometimes his play strength is pretty lacking. And along with that, Armand Membou is a right tackle, and so is Jawaan Taylor, the Chiefs' current starting right tackle, obviously. So that might cause some conflict. But Jawaan Taylor, he's really mid. So maybe they take Armand Membu anyways, and they slide him or Jawan Taylor to guard or something like that. But either way, I think Armand Membu could really improve this O-line. And with the final and, yeah, the 32nd pick in this mock draft, I got the Philadelphia Eagles taking Princely Umanmielen, an edge rusher from Ole Miss. Josh Sweat, he is going to be a free agent this offseason, and I highly doubt the Eagles retain him. And it does seem like Brandon Graham is going to retire, so the Eagles definitely could use some replacements for those two. And Princely Umanmielen, he is a very good pass rusher because and he's really lengthy, athletic. He has good size in my opinion, and I think he has really good pass rush moves. Now, his run stopping, it is not good, and he definitely has a thinner frame. And I don't know how good his run stopping will be in the NFL, but at the bare minimum, this man should be a very good pass rush specialist. But that's going to be it for this mock draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And yeah, check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and Instagram are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.